Now to an I-Team investigation and a surprising new reality. Americans now owe more on their student loans than on their credit cards.
In spite of new laws to make federal student loan lending more accessible and affordable, the exact opposite is happening. CBS 4 Chief Consumer Investigator Al Sunshine shows you how predatory lending practices are now running rampant.
It's definitely like a big black cloud overhead.
Brittany Fields McLaren's talking about debt.
It's tough.
Specifically, the $30,000 in student loans this 20-year-old's racked up to pay for her education at Florida Atlantic University.
It just feels so hopeless.
Meet Jennifer. She owes more than $200,000 for her bachelor's and law degree.
You know, I assumed I would just get a job and pay the money back.
But the tight job market is making paying off student loans even more challenging. Americans now owe more than $829 billion in student loan debt. That's $3 billion more than their credit cards.
My personal integrity dictates that I want to be accountable for anything that I owe.
It turns out debt management solutions like adjusting payments to meet your income don't apply to private student loans. The rules are different.
Private loans are a little tricky. You have to be very careful, and that's why we at Consolidated Credit always tell people to maximize their federal loans first.
While the interest rates on need-based federal loans drop to 3.4% next year, interest rates on private loans are not expected to drop at all.
You know, some of the loans I've taken, I owe over $25,000 worth of capitalized interest to just one creditor, and it's accumulating faster than I can pay it off.
Across the country, critics of the private loans are uncovering what they say are predatory lending and abusive collection practices. Louisa Lee took out a $7,000 private loan for her master's degree. After 8 years, her loan balance has hardly gone down.
I was paying early, every month.
Joshua Fensterstock says the company managing his and Louisa's loans only applied payments to the loan's principal if they were received on the exact due date.
If they do not receive a payment within 30 days of the previous payment, everything gets applied to interest and nothing gets applied to the principal.
It's a very scary place right now because there's limited oversight.
And unlike credit cards, there's almost no debt relief alternatives like bankruptcy for the private loans.
I mean, I don't see what's the difference or the distinction between the two types of debt.
That consumer protection was stripped away 5 years ago during the Bush administration. Florida Congressman Ron Klein thinks that's wrong.
If it's a full bankruptcy, not just student loans, but if you're overwhelmed and using bankruptcy laws for everything else, it seems to me that a student loan should be part of that like any other consumer debt.
Under a new law signed by the president this year, the federal government will no longer pay fees to private banks to act as intermediaries in providing loans to college students. Also, loans will be forgiven after 20 years as long as payments are not missed or after 10 years of public service, like serving in the military or teaching. I'm Al Sunshine, the CBS 4 I-Team.